employees only account for 22% of the population. Why is half of their budget comes from this fee? Human relations, a third of their budget comes from it. Their mission is to promote understanding and respect among citizens. Why does human relations receive any utility fee? Finance, 94% of their budget comes from it. Why? Central services, this is responsible for building maintenance. I know Energy Resources maintains their own facilities, and I thought Water Resources did the same. 7% of their budget comes from the utility service fee. And why was this changed to be its own department? Please look into that. You got a great idea to relook at everything. Technology services, 90% of their budget utility service fee. Do utilities really take up 90% of the city's computer cost? Business and collection services, 95% of their budget. I agree with that allocation. That's what they do. However, that department needs to be back under finance to provide proper oversight like used to happen. Development services, 30% of their budget comes from utility service fee. This was the first year they were funded from this. They don't have anything to do with planning, inspections, and zoning. Community development, their mission is related to housing. 38% of their budget comes from the utility service fee. And then there's the non-departmental group where 60% of it comes from it. And again, that statute says reasonably allocable to the electric system. What do non-departmental expenditures have to do with maintaining the electric or any of the other utilities? And then I realized, oh, those expenditures are primarily by the Office of Budget and Evaluation. That's where all your problems have come from. It is clear Rocky Mount's use of the utility service fees are not reasonably allocable to the electric system or any other utilities. How did this occur? Just you asked the person who developed the budget, made numerous presentations to City Council without highlighting the inappropriate use of the utility service fee, nor did he warn City Council members of the precarious financial position that he was approaching. Next, I'd like to touch on rate stabilization fund. The city's financial policy says council shall approve the utilization of the rate stabilization reserve. How are these funds used without your knowledge and approval? Send you copies of the rest of my remarks.
I would appreciate that. Thank you. I'd like to invite Tasha Aldridge to the podium.
Good morning.
Morning.
With all due respect, it's time for all of you to just stop negotiating with your excuses. Point blank. I'm here to speak on these utility rate increases and ask that you take a step back before placing additional financial burden on the residents of Rocky Mount. Right now, two critical processes are still underway: the billing audit and the development of the upcoming fiscal year budget, both directly impacting the accuracy, fairness, and necessity of any rate adjustment. Moving forward, before these are complete, make a decision without a full, transparent financial picture. Can we stop playing on our phones? Thank you. There's also a growing concern among residents regarding the continuous inequities in the numbers being presented. Time and time again, figures change, the budget totals change, they don't match, the salaries, the 401k, explanations come after the fact, and again, accurate. It can be proven in the numbers. It's in black and white. So how can you confidently justify asking citizens to pay more tomorrow when the numbers today are still uncertain? Accuracy has got to come before action. This increase is not small. Utility households actually are my personal ones. For the last 12 months, we have all the services except gas. Last month alone, my bill would have been not $7.17 higher before taxes. Over the course of a year, $935 more before taxes is what will come out of our household, not including the money that you'd already taken from my husband's pay, not including the impact you're making to his retirement. Get your hand out of my pocket. Equally important is the continued use of the enterprise funds. These funds are meant to support the operations and stability of the business and not to be treated as a fallback for budgeting shortfalls and overspending. And I urge this council to require full approval and accountability for any transfer that starts coming out of the enterprise funds to be justified, documented, and clearly communicated. Before asking citizens to pay more, we must first demonstrate that every dollar is being managed responsibly. Delaying a rate increase until July would allow this audit to be completed and the budget to be finalized and provide transparency that the residents deserve. This isn't about delaying a decision, it's about making informed ones. Right now, from the outside looking in, it feels like residents are being asked to cover uncertainty instead of solutions. The people of Rocky Mount, we deserve clarity, accountability, and leadership that's going to prioritize responsible financial stewardship over a rushed decision. It's been said by at least one of you, if you'll get off, there's a light at the end of this tunnel. I just hope it's not a freight train.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Rolanda Williams to the podium.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Rolanda Williams. I really debated long and hard about addressing you all because I speak truth and I have a tendency to piss people off because I have no filter. I usually try to keep myself and mind my own business, but today your actions have started affecting me directly. I can't remain silent any longer. I have questions about utility bills. One, why are we still receiving bills past February that are still inflated from, as you called, catching up and paying what we already owed from your billing debacle? For example, my bill went from 140 a month to 340. And yes, I do receive multiple bills in December and January as well. Well, my February bill was tripled as well. So I haven't seen any decrease in those. So on top of what I'm already paying, you are wanting to add more, which is unacceptable. Number two, what happens when the payment arranges end and disconnects start up again? I'll tell you what'll happen. People will be disconnected for non-payment and still owe the ridiculous amounts that you've raped them with, and you expect fees on top of those amounts, which they weren't able to pay in the first place. So then how is losing customers going to help your situation? It's not. If you don't re-implement disconnect notices for non-payment, then I'll just start paying 40 a month. Because what else can I give you? Okay. How much are you getting from the utility bills now when everybody's on a payment plan? How is that helping your situation? It's not, because that's why you're not updating. Okay, now what would raising utility rates by 50% actually do? Well, let me spell it out. NOTHING. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because people, you would actually be losing money. When you start the reconnect fees, you're going to cut people off. That's people you're not getting any money from. So what are you going to do? Continue to rate the ones that are, in fact, paying their bills? That's what it looks like. It's not acceptable to me either, and many others, I'm sure. Most of us live paycheck to paycheck or on a month-to-month income that doesn't increase because you continue to violate us. I always hear you can't get blood from a turnip. Well, even turnips, we have no more to give. Well, I think you can't possibly think that just because you want more, that we, as someone mentioned before, don't have a magic wand to produce more. The last time I checked, I still don't, use my expression, shit quarters. So I have no more to give. You guys are not affected by this because your hand remains in the cookie jar. And many of you don't live in the houses that you use for your election purposes. Guess that explains why there's so many abandonments here. They're a cover for the nefarious actions and shenanigans of you guys. You're pushing people out of the homes they've lived in all their lives. They paid their dues and just want to live without being bent over the desk to continue to be violated by your competence. By the way, I'm still not seeing itemized bills. I'd like to know how much you buy electric from Duke, how much is marked up before it gets to us. I would like numbers and information. We're owed that at this point in time. Many of you have shown your true colors and motives. Now that you've inadvertently turned 30,000 plus eyes upon you, and your actions. We see you and we don't like what we see. You kick the proverbial hornet's nest, are mad enough to sting in retaliation for your actions. I hope you're not allergic to justice because it's coming. Ask the public for input. We are ready to help you fix your mistakes because we see you. We see your incompetence and show you to correct it on your own. You just want to stick it back to us. You may not like it, but we don't either. An addendum. I feel that if you are receiving a grant for a business that you have your hand in, you should not have the ability to vote on anything related to such said business. Keep personal business separate from city business. This is definitely conflict of interest. Thank you.
You. I'd like to invite Dr. Koo to the podium.
Good morning. City Council must realize that we are opposed to utility rate increases, not because we want to, but because we cannot afford not to. We all understand that you're trying to save the city from the city takeover, but who is going to save us? The many citizens I spoke to as I go around in my area in Ward 6 to garner petition signatures against rate increases all reveal the same picture. Being punished for the mistakes made by the city's mismanagement of its finances. People are mad as hell, and several promise to move out of the city's limits. The daily cost of living, groceries, insurance costs, debt servicing, etc., are many of the financial burdens we carry. Unemployment and wage stagnation are strangling us, while all the previously available social services are snatched away. Our tax dollars have been hijacked by the Epstein class to pay for their wars and their war dreams, more like nightmares, in West Asia and the Caribbean. Why do you think millions were out there on the street again at the No Kings protests all over the country? It was a bitterly cold and windy day last Saturday, and yet folks came out. Even Rocky Mount has its own version of the demonstration. People know of the objectively horrible financial situation the city is in, but very few demonstrated any sympathy. Many feel that our trust has been broken and the faith in the elected officials have been misplaced. If you all cannot take care of the city in the past, what makes you think we believe you can take care of the city in the future? Why can't you raise funds by selling all your assets, renegotiate your debt, make deep cuts into salaries and cut back on expensive consultations, equipment, or unnecessary capital projects like the judicial center? Regardless of what you do, it is still possible that the city may come under receivership state anyway. If this happens, it's punishment to the council for your lackadaisical supervision and a huge blot on your political report card. I've collected all these signatures from the petition of people who not make it to this 10 o'clock morning because it's a very inconvenient time for working people. Now, who shall I hand it over? Since most of it is in Ward 6, maybe I should hand it over to Mr. Harris.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Just hand it right here to our assistant city manager.
Okay.
She'll get it to everybody.
Thank you.
I'd like to invite Mary B. Derry to the podium.
What can I say? Same thing I said before. We can't afford 5 bills in 3 months.
Please charge your phone.
That just got up with a list of things that could be done. It spoke to me because they're all things that you guys have the power to do if you choose to do it. And I should hope that you evaluate why you're in the position you're in
and who you're there and supposed to be working for. And do some of those difficult cuts so that we don't have the state come in and do it. Because if the state does it, they will show no mercy, and they don't know us. All they know are numbers on a sheet of paper. You guys to represent us the way we ask you to. And straighten this out so we don't have to be at the mercy of people who just look at numbers. Because that will hurt even worse than what we're going through now. So please do self-evaluations and look over my list of things that we can do to improve the situation and straighten this out. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Reginald Bynum to the podium.
Good morning. Morning. So first I want to greet you and say good morning to our mayor, city manager, Mayor Pro Tem. I am again Reginald Bynum. I've been a resident of the city since last September. Bought a home in Ward 1. Very familiar with Rocky Mount. Brief history, grandfather pastored Brattleboro, North Carolina for 50 years. Became at First Baptist Brattleboro for the last 6 years of his ministry. I love this area. We bought a home here because we love the parks, the rec. My son is a skateboarder, great skateboard. Probably add a little bit more to it. We can work on that down the road after we get out of this. So yeah, I'm coming as a citizen, right? Again, same thing I said last time. No emotional stuff coming from me. I just like to kind of come with facts, and that's kind of how I live. I am in the energy construction. I've been in that space. I've been in nonprofit space for underserved communities. For years, I've decided to come into that space to kind of help with energy independence, which is something that we definitely need. And so that's that. I want to first of all thank you all for the process of sending in questions before this. I think I sent it in not on purpose at 5 o'clock, and my counsel responded back. And I've been doing a lot of research, and as you can imagine, coming in, you want to get the best information to make the right statements to help, right? And I believe that is important. Being here is helping. So I appreciate Councilman Knight actually answering my questions, allowed me to go back and study some more and kind of tie them together. I have no questions about the email that I sent, but I did want to touch on a couple of things that I think are important, and I have references that I can share for citizens or other people that may need that, because again, I try to live by that. I'm here to speak as a resident of Rocky Mount, concerned about the idea of our city falling under the direct control of the North Carolina Local Government Commission, or the LGC, because of our financial challenges. The LGC exists for an important purpose, but history shows that when they step into take operations, it usually is accompanied by extremely difficult decisions. In North Carolina, towns such as Kinston, Princeville, and Enfield. I'm from Halifax County, and so I live right beside Enfield. They took over Enfield in 1990, and that is through the nc.treasury.gov, in case people want to follow up with that. There was heavy LGC intervention during those periods of financial distress, and in these cases, activities often included ring utility rate increases. They also included staff reductions. They also included strict spending controls and cuts or consolidation of local value programs. That is from nctreasury.gov. It's also important to be honest with our residents. Utility rates do not increase because elected councils act. Rates have increased under LGC oversight as well. Repeat that, going back in history, whenever the LGC has come in to take over places, they often increase rates as well. So I think the conversation is, are rates going to be increased? Either way, it seems And that's not my decision. That is not, I don't have any feeling. I'm just giving historical facts based on what I pulled up. Another concern is what happens when the cuts are made too broadly. The LGC is not a large staff. I've listened to a lot of the retreats. And I believe I heard someone from the LGC staff say, I believe they have 9 members. If that is correct, and they said that they are short staffed and they're over 1,100 areas in the county. I believe that's that. And I believe that's correct. So they said that it would be, direct control is a last resort, to use her words, I believe, and not a preferred outcome. It is a last resort, a preferred outcome. When outside control moves in, decisions tend to focus narrowly on balance sheets. This can put at risk community programs, cultural initiatives, and services that define the fabric and the identity of a city like Rocky Mount. That is in nctreasurer.gov. I want to be clear, I support democracy. I believe strongly that our elected officials chosen by the people deserve the opportunity to fix what is broken, even when the fixes require tough, uncomfortable decisions. Removing that authority, but because the work is hard, sets a dangerous, especially in times of national and global instability. We've seen how unexpected national leadership shifts, ongoing wars overseas, and volatility in global markets have quickly driven up costs at home. Thank you.
I'd like to invite Larry Taylor to the podium.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, City Council, and to all in attendance. My name is Larry Taylor. I'm Mayor Pro Tem for the town of Nashville. And I brought with me today our planning director, our finance director, our town, our HR director, and our manager of public utilities. They all are coming me here today. On behalf of the mayor and our city manager, I come before you today to issue a formal objection to the 15% rate increase. While we recognize that the city of Rocky Mount needs to manage their financial obligation, the rate increase places a disproportionate and unbearable burden on partners, on your utility partners, being Nashville and other surrounding communities. The city of Rocky Mount has the authority to establish rate increases. That authority is not without legal limitations. As you are aware, the United States, under North Carolina law, municipal utility rates must bear a reasonable relationship to increases. I don't think you can provide that to us. Over the past 3 years, wholesale customers have already repeated rate increases of approximately 8% annually. The proposed additional increase of 15% is to both wholesale water customers and sewer customers, raise many questions into the cost justifications. Rate adjustments on these magnitudes should be clear and should demonstrate an added expense to provide water to customers. Wholesale customers such as Nashville are unique, and we are vulnerable to the arrangements that we have with the city of Rocky Mount because we have no other alternatives, water and sewer. The town of Nashville supplies 3,280 residential customers, not to include our businesses, to include the Nash Correctional Facility, the Nash County Jail, and the other administrative businesses. In consequence, this approach are immediate and far-reaching. Regional utility provider Rocky Mount has the responsibility to act as a partner, Nashville being one of those partners. This rate increase that is proposed, if it's on today and put into effect, it would cost Nashville over $300,000 to even finish out this fiscal year. And we're only talking about 2 or 3 months. Given these concerns, we respect request that prior to any additional increases in wholesale water and sewer rates that Rocky Mount is about to have, we request that you provide all administrative overhead, inter-fund transfers and internal service charges within the water and sewer enterprise fund, including any transfers from the general fund and other government functions. Also ask that you provide a detailed financial statement from the water and sewer enterprises funds for the past 5 years, including revenue expenditures and debt services outlay and other forms of fund balance. We also ask that you provide a breakdown of the cost allocation on the rate design, demonstrated how this cost is determined. Expenses have not gone up to provide these services, so neither should the increases be put in effect. We'd like for you to provide a schedule of all rate increases for the wholesale and retail customers over the past 5 years and any projected increases for the 5 years in the future. We also ask that you engage in good faith consultation with wholesale customers prior to any adoption of any rate increases. We strongly urge the City Council of Rocky Mount to consider these proposed increases and engage with your wholesale. You should have already received a copy of this letter. For those of you that did not receive it, we have a copy to leave with you if you need so.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you.
Appreciate this. Shakila, I'm having a hard time. I think I got that right. I'm not sure about the last name. Snyder? Shakila? Okay, I really got it wrong then.
Is it Shaquina Smith?
I'm sorry?
Is it Shaquina Smith?
Could be. Just a lot of loopy letters. It's beautiful. I just.
Good morning. I have a big problem going on. And it just came to me Thursday. So on January the 9th, I went into the light bill place. I waited till everybody kind of like out of there about their bill. So I go January the 9th about mine. They tell me to come back. No, I go that Thursday, so maybe it had been like the 5th. They said, well, come back. We have a program that we can just bring your 3 check stubs and your ID. I done that on the 9th. They tell me to come back that Friday. The guy from the city said, come back Friday. You forgot to sign the paper so we can get your bill paid. I said, okay, go back there following Friday, sign the paper. Thursday, I'm at work. I get a call from the city. Your bill is not being paid. I said, my bill is not being paid. I signed the paperwork for it. Ain't that a breach of contract or something? They're like, well, no. So I'm sitting in the office with him this morning. I'm like, well, can I have the paperwork on it? Does somebody show me the paperwork that I signed? You know, because I'm going to take this somewhere else because that's clearly a breach of contract. So he's like, we don't have the paperwork. We can't pull nothing, computer or nothing for you. So my thing with this is, mind you, on the 19th, I called here to pay my light. They say, Shaquina, you have $141 credit from the $716 that we paid for you. I said, okay, wow, I'm going to pay y'all the $240. She said, that's all you owe us. I said, are y'all sure that the $716 is paid? Yes, just pay the $241 for this for mortgage. Paid. Now all of a sudden, the light bill ain't paid. I took off today just because that is messy. Like you told me January the 9th that it was paid. Now it's March 30th and it's not paid. Thank y'all.
Thank you. I'd like to Brief consent. Yes, Councilman Knight already.
We're gonna direct the city manager, to, look into that with our finance director. In reference to that, I think it's speaking in reference to the crisis program that was designed to help citizens that was over the poverty line, but experienced a one-time crisis, financial. And we making, well, staff want to make sure that the policy, is correct. According to how the policy is written, you should be that, but we just want to make sure, so I just asked the manager for the, but our finance director, I'll check into that for you.
Thank
We
you.
apologize for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Yes, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Sharif Hassan and just came here to speak. I wanted to start with something that was said in this very chamber on March 19th by one of our councilors. And I want everybody to listen to this clearly because it's a direct quote. It's been the policy of many councils prior to us being set that the city use utility, electric, gas to fund city operations. The philosophy behind it was use utilities to keep taxes low. I want you all to let that sink in. Your electric bill, the one that went up, has been deliberately used to fund general city government, not power lines, not transformers, not the electricity coming into your home, but city operations. So that property owners could pay lower taxes. And you were never told this. Here's what the law says. North Carolina General Statute 159B-39. A law that specifically by name to the city of Rocky Mount states a municipality shall use revenue derived from rates for electric service to pay the direct and indirect costs of operating the electric system. A municipality shall not otherwise transfer revenue from an electric utility fund to any other fund of the municipality for any other purposes not explicitly authorized by law. Could not be more clear. Electric revenue is for electric operation, period. It's not a slush fund for city government. It's not a substitute for tax revenue. And a council member admitted on video that this city has been doing exactly what the law forbids. And it gets worse. The city's own financial records show that its fiscal years 2023 and 2024, the electric fund was losing millions of dollars. And the city kept transferring money out anyways. 2.6 million in 2023, almost 2.8 million in 2024, taken out of a fund that was already in the red. On top of that, the general fund, district fund, over $34 million in so-called administrative fees. Fees that Councilman Robertson actually questioned in that same meeting, asking whether they were even legitimate. North Carolina State Auditor released a report 2 weeks ago confirming the city experienced a 78% drop in cash from 100 million to 21.8 million in 2 years. He confirmed that council approved budgets without detailed financial data. He confirmed he has been in contact with state officials at all levels regarding potential criminal activity. A forensic audit was promised in September 2025 by this council. Today, 6 months later, we still don't know that. So I'm speaking today not just to this council, but to every person in Rocky Mountain who pays an electric bill. You have a right to know what your utility money was spent on. You have a right to demand if it was spent legally. You have a right to say enough. I'm calling on every ratepayer in this city to come to these meetings to ask these questions. And to demand that no further transfers leave the electric or gas fund until the legality of this practice is confirmed in writing by an attorney and not the city's own attorney. An independent one. The councilman who made that quote said that this was argued for years, whether or not you should even do it. it's pretty clear that you shouldn't be doing it. And since you guys have to argue about it, I think it's best that somebody outside decide whether or not it's actually legal for you to do. Another thing that I would touch on is I'll be honest with you, and almost a whole day trying to find where this meeting was actually legally noticed for 2 weeks. Because the law also states that you're supposed to notice this kind of meeting for 2 weeks with the proposed rate being posted in a local newspaper. And personally, I couldn't find it, and I reached out to a few council members asking, where was it posted? That alone should not allow you to raise rates today, unless somebody can point that direction. I'd also like to say something about what somebody talked about earlier. Enfield is not Rocky Mountain. Enfield is not a member of NCAPA. Enfield and how they can raise their rate, not how the city of Rocky Mountain can raise their rates. It's 2 different cities.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Crystal James Anderson to the podium. Yes, and I'll recognize you, Principal Blackwell.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I appreciate the last speaker's comments. I had no problem. I was the guy that made that comment because that's been the fight that we've been fighting for 26 years. And in times past, when it was time to increase tax rates in previous councils, we did not have tax rates. We said it all along. When I said we, there were 4 people after 2003 have concerns about the philosophy of utility increases. What was told to us when I came on this council, and I was a minority member, not just in my racial ethnicity, but in my perspective. We were told then that our utility rates kept property taxes low. We said then, and we said now, that that's a regressive, unfair approach. That utility rates should be for utility service. I don't have an issue with any of that. What I have an issue with is that we have selective memory and selective application when we talk. And we also have not been honest about how we got to where we are. We also have not had good administrative management, which we told you. Some of us told you all along that we did not have good administrative management. And I appreciate the fact that we are where we are today. We're trying to work our way out of it. Appreciate the fact that we're calling for clarity and transparency. But I hope you're the fact that we're trying to go back for years for management, but we cannot operate these funds in a deficit, these utilities in a deficit position. And I just want to clarify, it's not time to vote. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking, but since I was quoted, I want to give the context of what I said. What I said was, I did this fight for 26 years about property tax increases. 26 years. 26. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Williams Anderson. Yes, Councilman Donaldson.
I just want to give the city clerk to confirm the notices that were, I believe, in Rocky Mountain Telegram regarding this meeting, along with the rates They were published on the 20th of March, on the 27th. Okay, thank you.
We can't hear you.
We couldn't hear any of that.
She confirmed that they were March 20th and March 27th. The note.
That's 10 days.
That's 10
That's not, that's not.
That's not 2 weeks.
That's exactly my point. I'm just saying. that's
We'll
exactly my
research
point.
that, but let's, let the public hearing please continue.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Ms. Wingfield.
Good morning, Mayor, members of council. This message is more to the city than it is to the council. My name is Crystal Lynn Anderson, and I want to talk about accountability and financial stewardship in the city of. It may be hard for our men, but it's even 10 times harder for our women to stand. Just look at all the single mother households and grandmother households in the city. So I want to thank you, Effie, for Charles to do the hard work, and for Charles allowing the women of this ward to take the lead in fighting for our ward. No more interference. Y'all have got to work out your issues, because the city is about to piss off 54,000 people, not including our neighboring counties like Nashville as they came up here, and versus making amends for the less than 800. All on the back and the views of city council, who have now opened the door to gentrification, which gentrification is not a code, because folks will be displaced because of affordability. The local government commission has asked the city to present a clear picture of its cash flow. Cash flow is not just a financial term. It answers the question: does the city actually have enough money coming in at the right time to meet its obligations and maintain essential services? When the state begins asking questions about cash flow, that should concern everyone of this community. We are here to discuss increasing utility rates as a way to stabilize revenue. But we are also being told that the collection rate on utilities is about 89%. So that means more than one every $10 bill is not being collected. And the concern does not stop there. There are also reports of uncollected property taxes in the city dating back as far as 10 years. Under North Carolina law, local government has a limited window to enforce collection of those taxes. When that window passes without action, those dollars can become unrecoverable revenue, money the city should have had, but can no longer recover. So we have to ask an important question. If cash flow is tight today, how much of that problem was created not by residents that are paying their bills, but by years of revenue that was never collected? At the same time, residents are being told utility rates must. Yet the city-owned utility director has indicated those rates did not need to be raised immediately. When a system says the increase is not urgent, but the increase is implemented right away, it raises another concern. It just, like we stated before, that utilities are being relied upon to support broader operating costs of the city, rather than simply funding the utility system itself. Utilities should not be operated as a service that is financially should be operated as a service that is financially stable and self-supporting. They should not become a backdoor solution for general budget pressures. If uncollected taxes, unrecoverable revenue, and collection gaps are contributing to problems, raising utility rates will not solve the underlying issue. It simply shifts the burden onto the residents who are already paying their bills. So before asking citizens to pay more, the council should be asking tougher questions in City Hall. Why were taxes allowed to go uncollected for nearly a decade? Because most of the people that I know don't own the properties. How much revenue is now unrecoverable? And why are utilities being linked as a financial solution when the system itself indicates rate increases were not immediately necessary? Transparency matters. When the local government commissions ask about cash flow, the people of Rocky Mountain have those answers as well. Residents are not asking for miracles. We're asking for responsible leadership, honest numbers, and financial management that addresses root problems instead of shifting costs onto the public. Because the citizens of Rocky Mountain are not just ratepayers, we are stakeholders in the financial future of the city. And thank you for the extra minutes, because my first and last question is, what was the suggestion of the Utility Review Board that y'all place. Y'all put that board in place. Again, I sit on that board, and for 5 years, I've never heard anything come before that board. Just like every other board gets the opportunity to make a suggestion about things that's going on in the city, board, utility board has not been given that opportunity. And that's what y'all put us in place for, to be the advisory between the citizens and the city. Again, if those suggestions were not considered, ask the manager, were they not considered? And again, it's not that we can't afford the light bill, we can't afford these rate increases.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Spencer to the podium.
I think we managed to do a.
He needs the microphone.
Sure. I'll recognize you, Mr. Manager.
And what I'm referring to is the utility collection rate. My understanding is 8% tax collection is 96%. It's more than 90%. So that's
To my
not-
recollection, the city has not had a collection rate below the upper 90 sometime within the last 5 to 6 years. I don't wanna, give you the exact number because I don't have that in front of me, but if that exact number is located in the year's audit, and I don't recall it any time that dropping below 90%.
Thank you.
Additionally, another point of clarification, the city doesn't have 100 people making over $100,000. That information was submitted to council, and that number is below 60. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Jay.
Yes. My name is J.W. Espinosa. And I'm concerned about the bill. The bill stands being increased on the light bill. I have no understanding. Something has to be done about it. And why you doing this, man, I appreciate it. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Spencer. I'd like to invite Darlene Spencer Harris to the podium.
Good morning. I come before you this morning in regards to the crisis that our city is now facing. So utilities need to be increased. No question about that. The amount of increase, however, is a concern. As has been stated over and over again, that all the fees, a lot of the fees, the majority of the fees are coming out of the utility fund. And which it should not. Granted, I understand you have to run the city the best way you can, and you work with what you have. That is my motto. You work with what you have, and you utilize all those. So I just have a couple of suggestions. We can cut back on some of the expenses by consolidating the buildings. We don't need a separate finance building. Everything was fine when it was right here in this building. That's an extra bill, using extra utilities, spending to maintain. Put that building up for sale. You talk about putting out community-led entities that serve us, like the Imperial Center, the Senior Center. Parks and Rec. For one, Bucky Mount doesn't have a lot of opportunities for us to take part in without traveling to to Durham. So why would you stop the revenue at the event center or the Imperial Center by shutting it down for 6 months to a year, or whoever knows how long? Because when you shut it down, not only do we still have that bill, because we still owe a lot of money on that, the bill just gets even bigger. The interest just keeps growing. You never find yourself out of the hole. I treat my personal business and my so-called friends as a business. It's nothing personal. So when you take the personal out of it, you get a lot further. People ain't gonna like you. And which we all know, a lot of people don't like y'all. I mean, it's said constantly over again. But the people elected you. The people believe in you. The people haven't stopped believing in you. But we know some of these things that's going on just happen. You know, I'm somewhat of a blogger, a little bit. And I've caught a lot of backlash about how I feel about certain things. Everyone almost has some type of business. They have some type of investment, some type of maybe got an incentive from the city. But when things are voted on for these different businesses like that, councilmen that have these businesses have been recluse. They have not been able to cast a ballot because it's illegal. So the public really needs to understand that. You can bash a business all day long, but don't bash what the business does for the society. Don't bash what the business does for the community. I say, raise the utility, but don't raise it by 15%, because that's a hard hit. I think the council should go back. Start from the top. Eliminate some of these positions. Downsize. Consolidate. And the people that remain, that claim they love the city, they'll remain here. And guess what? They'll end up doing their job. Thank you.
I'd like to invite Earl Jones to the podium.
Good morning. Good morning. I made it. I made it today. Even though you scheduled the meeting when people couldn't make it, I made it. So good morning, I'm Earl Jones. We're glad to be here today. Child of God, blessed. Proud veteran, retired state employee, product tracer, and a voice for all of Rocky Mount. Your utility billing is 105 days old now. Congratulations. With still no acceptable explanation of what occurred. None. Today, you will mostly agree to raise utility rates on us by 15%. The LGC said cut now, which beckons the question, where are the 15% cuts? Starting with the city manager on that. We're all in this together, remember? That's what you said. This is a shameful that year 159 of our city's history. I would call it rock bottom. When an 88-year-old man, J.W. Spencer, spoke from his seat again today and told you he cannot afford these increases and that he will have to sell his house You succinctly told him thank you and moved on. That's what makes me hot. That's what motivates me. So come on down from your ivory towers and practice a little empathy. Walk a mile in Mr. Spencer's shoes. We've all tried to warn you of the financial ruin you're causing, but you stonewall us, like you always do. How do you show your face in public? How do you sleep at night? It's disgusting, it's disgraceful, and it's disengaged. And I just want to say, Mr. Spencer, I will help you any way I can. Next stop, your own side, outside your very council chamber, right outside the door. I see you're working on it. Maybe you got my Facebook post. I don't know. But can you please place and rename the Ward 3 council? He's been here almost 4 months. And he deserves credit for his service. Thank you. And on your decorum, this is one of 2 councilmen fighting for us today, and I thank them. Thank you. And I won't be voting for the 2 of you that I did before. Okay? So, and here we go again. Final stop. And this one really gets me. There is a tattered flag flying on the old People's Bank building, if you haven't noticed, on the self-held credit building. I am not, I notice it because I'm a veteran and I lost comrades for no good reason. And so it hits me in the heart. Can you please, you say you support veterans, so take care of it. Can you please replace the flag or have the people in the building replace the flag? It's shameful. If no other reason than for perception and to draw downtown development. I mean, come on, people. I've had great people willing to donate a flag if you take it seriously, and I'll take the matters in my own hand if I have to. Once the city on the rise, now the city in demise. That's what I call it. Your performance, except for Verb and TJ, hold a big fat F. Good day.
Thank you. Valerie Steele, to the podium.
My name's Valerie Steve. I'm a homeowner in Rocky Mountain. This 10 a.m. public meeting, when you may very well vote on an egregious utility rate hike, thoroughly annihilates any trust the public may have had in your ability to govern. It seems sneaky? Yeah, that's because it is. You could submit a partial plan to the state on April 1st that does not include these rate hikes. Schedule an meeting in mid-April to accommodate the people who cannot attend during the workday. Incorporate their viable recommendations and submit a completed plan that can be amended as needed. I'd like to know why residential users are facing an increase of 14.75% for electricity, while commercial users are looking at only a 1.5% increase. Why don't you tap the business community for a bailout? You've gotten a lot of good ideas about ways to decrease expenses and increase revenue, but I'd really like to emphasize the benefit of selling the casino property, the event center, the Prince building, and speculative surplus properties, where the proceeds will help fill the $1 million gap and generate tax dollars in the future to fund expenses. It's my understanding the city purchases electricity from Duke Energy Progress. It appears proposed 14.75% increase is comprised primarily of the 13.9 rate increases from 2023 to 2026 levied by DEP, but they were not billed to Rocky Mount customers. They just didn't get passed through. So now it's time to play catch up with that. And it shows that no utility increases. There were no utility increases from 2012 to 2025, which is true. But that's partially due to the fact that Duke rates actually decreased for 8 of those years, but mainly because of administrative incompetence and dereliction of duty on the part of city council. But the pain doesn't stop there. It's going to be compounded by the proposed rate increase of 18.1% by Duke to be implemented in 2027 and 2028. Duke made a profit of $4.7 billion in 2025. You have a fiduciary responsibility to challenge them. So while Duke is raking in the bucks, the people in Rocky Mount are being hammered by a total rate increase of over 32.85% over a 2-year period, which is an increase of at least $45 a month for 1,000 kilowatts of electricity. Excuse me. But that's not the end of the tragedy. Factor in at least $140 a month increased cost of living due to tariffs, the greater cost of healthcare, and the spike in gas prices that are making eating or heating a stark reality for many. You may lose friends or personal business, or even by family members because you sacrificed the livelihoods of employees. And when people die as a result of your negligence and draconian corrective actions, their blood will be on hands.
Thank you. Yes, sir. I'd like to recognize you, Mr. Councilman.
I don't know if Mr. Rangers, if you want to do it now or after, but the energy resource director to hit on the residential commercial difference and what commercial increase happened back in June or July. And then also about how we're part of Kempa and we received a wholesale rate from Duke, and the retail, what they're talking about right now, which I think is on WRL. They're flipping it to us, but I don't know if he wants to talk about that now or after.
We would prefer to do, any type of presentation afterwards, but I'm open to whatever the council decides.
That's fine.
Whatever y'all decide, I'm fine with.
Fine with me, but I think it needs to be addressed.
At the end.
For at the end of
At the end.
Oh, sounds good. Thank you. There may be other items. I'd like to invite Butch Jancy to the podium.
Good morning, all. I can say today, I have been the longest attending, president of the room, because my good friend is here, go back over 30 years. I stand before you today, represent my family, my friends, employees who can't speak, and those who are afraid to speak because of the folk on the Rocky Mount Concerned Citizens page that are misleading folk along councils. I get sick of folks using scare tactics, using older folk. There was no crisis until the former city manager and his chosen staff. We are dealing with 2 different management teams. Treat them as the same. I was there when LGC took over Princeville. I was there when they almost took it over a second time. If the same energy had been shown during the time the former city manager was here, we would not be having this public hearing. Many folks read to their own facts and not the documented ones. And a lot of these stuff y'all said I could answer because I was in the meeting. I stand today to ask the council to do what the audit and the LGC say needs to be done. I heard the LGC. I heard the LGC. I heard the LGC. I heard the LGC director during the 2-day retreat and at 2 council meetings, especially when a councilman tried to speak for the LGC and she came up and spoke. The LGC said at this point, she do not tell the city what to cut and what to increase. She said the city has qualified folks in place and she strongly feels the city can get through this crisis. Council members, let the city manager. Everybody complain about how much damn money he make, let him do his job. And support him. And I love when y'all sit the stone, because I love cuss too. On Wednesday, the LGC will respond to what the city manager presents. And thank you for giving more time, because I added a little bit more tonight. Not that I wanted to, because we are repeating the same old mess on every public comment. And y'all get tired and stop. Even if we're talking about your facts, because your facts are not the facts. It's documented. Where's the water gain report? What report are y'all responding to?
Not now.
Makes no sense.
Said not now.
Thank you. I'd like to invite, Mary.
Dr. Bradley
Warren.
said not now.
What's a bit?
Something in your ear, baby.
Shut up, mistaken.
Something in your ear, baby. Not now. Keep on recording on your own. I give you something to entertain you.
Good morning. My name is Mary Warren, on Ward 3. My name is Mary Warren, and I live in Ward 3 in the Southeast Rocky Mountain community. I have been heavily involved with the Southeast Rocky Mountain community, city of Rocky Mountain, for 40+ years. My question today is, what is the city? First of all, I'd like to say, all the questions that I wanted to ask have been asked already. So my question today is, what is the city action plan? When we fail to plan, we plan to fail. I have been involved with the city for over 40+ years. My history has been with quality control. When we have a plan, when we are supposed to have a corrective action plan. Right now, we are talking about an increase, but we, the residents of Rocky Mountain, needs to know what is the city correction plan. Because those of us, we seniors, and especially in the Southeast Rocky Mountain community, that's a very poor community, we're gonna suffer the most because the city had management over the years, they profit. So we all gonna suffer the mistake that they're making. We can't go backward, but we can move forward. So today, I would just like to say, everybody, I've identified the problem. My question is, what is the city corrective action plan? Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to invite Diana Richard to the podium.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to address you candidly and with a focus on ethical responsibility. Rocky Mountain is facing significant challenges that contrast with its motto as the center of it all. The city finds itself at the center of public scrutiny due to the following concerns: financial mismanagement, erosion of trust, deficiencies in integrity, lapses in accountability, gaps in effective leadership. However, there is a shared responsibility concerning the city council, insufficient demand for departmental reports, particularly financial reports. This is because of the former city manager. favoritism in hiring practices over recent years, as well as the endorsement and reported support of select local businesses, inadequate diligence regarding oversight responsibility, lack of transparency in decision-making processes, potential neglect in recruiting members when conflicts of interest arise, a notable lack of openness in conducting city business and informing. I've heard many of you promise transparency. The city's website does not get updated. We don't have the information that you all promised put out there so that we know exactly what you are doing to correct this problem. In regard to the citizens and voters, placing trust without adequate scrutiny on ongoing engagement. Assuming representation without active participation or feedback. Not advocating for regular community meetings to communicate expectations and collaborate on action plans. Failing to turn municipal expenditures closely, although I've heard several people here today say that they have been doing their homework. Not insisting on accountability from elected officials, and we're demanding that today. Most critically, not consistently exercising the right to vote, a right earned through considerable effort and sacrifice. Our collective disengagement has contributed to these circumstances. Rocky Mount comprises both businesses and residents who contribute to the vitality of our community. However, recent events have negatively affected our reputation, potentially deterring prospective investors and major corporations such as Pfizer and Cummins, whose departures have resulted in economic challenges for our city. Additionally, our city currently lacks diverse attractions, vibrant life, reputable venues, and a robust calendar of community events. There is an urgent need for downtown revitalization and increased visitation, enhancing public safety and ensuring an environment where crime is not tolerated should be prioritized, potentially requiring firmer measures to demonstrate our commitment to community security. Ethical leadership expectations for the city council. It is imperative that the council approaches fiscal matters with the same prudence and care as personal household finances. It is unreasonable to expect citizens, especially seniors, those with low incomes, and individuals facing temporary unemployment, to absorb the costs resulting from past administrative errors. These decisions require thoughtful consideration, and we're not seeing you guys actually on behalf of us. With growing awareness of these issues, the public expects full transparency regarding financial decisions and transactions. We're not seeing that, are we? The council should establish or update ordinances clearly outlining your responsibilities, asserting appropriate oversight over agencies reporting to you. These steps are essential, restoring public trust and reinforcing ethical governance in Rocky Mount. And you must all remember, we're the ones that voted you to sit in those seats. We gave you the privilege to represent us. You're not doing a very good job. You work for us.
Thank you.
We don't work for you.
Thank you. Yes. Like to invite Lamar Shea to the podium. Chaz.
Council members, ladies and gentlemen, we are here today because of a crisis of majority forgery, a crisis of incompetence, arrogance, and a complete dereliction of public duty. You crushed the budget, and now your solution is to threaten us with more rate increases and force every one of us to pay more for utilities. In this broken system, more for utilities is not a fee. It is a punishment for your total lack of oversight and failure to manage, not a metropolis, but a city of 54,000 residents. The city council, right by internal right, moved their personal agendas by going against governance responsibilities. The auditor said so in his report. You voted for your favorite people and projects just to flaunt your power, playing political games while our city suffers. You are a mirror of the worst gridlock in Washington, right here in our backyard. The LGC has advised you to cut expenses. Do as you're told before you come asking us for more money, before you consider taking another dime from our pockets. First, any budget solution must start at the top with the highest salaries, benefits, and perks, and the most wasteful. Second, sell the land lying undeveloped, leaving the city of $800,000 in interest annually. How is payment to the bank a higher priority than keeping our essential utilities affordable for residents? This land purchase is definitely a monument to your reckless spending and hubris, utter hubris. Third, sell the costly, unused Bearcat and all other vehicle equipment rotting in the yard. These purchases are a glaring symptom of a broken city council comprising of a businessman and a banker, lacking in transparency and fiscal responsibility. Let me be clear. You have no right to put Rocky Mount on a ventilator. Who would invest here? Who would trust you? If you want your apologies and promises to count as genuine and not brittle, do something for us. Vote to the rate hike. Don't ask us for more while you waste what we have already given you. Let me remind you not to hold the 54,000 residents hostage to your self-interest, arrogance, and rivalries again, yet again. Vote no to the rate increase. We deserve a government that works for us, not against us. This proposed rate increase is a direct attack on household budget of families being crushed. Do your job. Vote no to the rate increase or get out of the way.
We've been going at this for an hour and a half. I'm gonna take a recess. It's currently 11:29, call it 11:30. At 11:40, we'll be 10 minutes. Thank you.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, that's all right.
It's kind of falling into the road.
Right. No, I not right.
Yeah. Whatnot on the streets also violence. And it's not just them, it's Pine Street housing, the other Pine was up further, you know, from my previous, right there. This gentleman, he had lawn care, and there was up in the grass.
What's going on, love? Thank you, love. Good to see you.
That's gonna be my new
I'm stepping, oh, I want to step around, because this she is right here. I can go right there. Deborah Savannah. Deborah. Sit right there on the right. I might go back where I was sitting at. I think I go back. I'm coming.
Just stop it.
Hey, your friend. Your email address.
The last.
It's a little longer right recess than we had to do, but, anyway. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna ask Bradley if he'll come to the podium and perhaps answer some of the questions that have been brought forward. There may be questions from council as it relates to some of the matters that have been presented today. At the conclusion of that, I will open the floor back up, the mic back up, and meeting for the public who didn't get a chance to sign up, who wishes to speak. We have gone through all who have signed up at this point in time. And after that, we will see where the meeting takes us. So with that, I'll turn the meeting over to you. Floor.
Specifically, want to make sure I'm aware, what specific questions do you want me to address first?
I think Councilman Doddridge had a question, clarification, people want to answer, and then we can, lead to other council members as they present.
Just clarification, one with the residential and the commercial rates, the commercial back in July, I believe, if you can just shed some light on that, that would be positive. And then after that, the issue of how we get wholesale rates and then how their retail rates, and then how we negotiate them. You know, if you could shed some light on that, I think it would be helpful for everyone.
Sure. So when we do a cost of service study, as I mentioned in the presentation a few weeks ago, we look at class margins. Each rate class has its margin. It's either over recovering or under recovering. Historically, our residential rate class has under recovered what it calls the hour. And what that means is on our industrial class, our large commercial, our medium general service customers, they are over recovering, which means that our revenues from them are more than what it costs to serve those customers' power. What we try to do on the cost of service studies, we try to balance that out. And in this case here, last year, the question was asked at the last meeting. Last year, the residential received less of a rate increase than our commercial customers. On top of that, the PPA was put in place because of the way rates are calculated. The PPA was across the board 0.8 cents per kilowatt hour. That dramatically affects large users disproportionately. So our large general service, our medium general service customers, that hit them for a double-digit rate increase on the PPA, and it's still in place today through the end of June. So the wholesale rate increase that was implemented last July was balanced more towards industrials, and the PPA was greatly balanced more towards industrials. So in order to get that a little bit more balanced back towards residential, that's why the were listed out the way they were presented. Any questions specifically on that?
Well, on that, you mentioned PPA in July. Is that going to impact residential too, regardless of whatever with rates? How will that impact everything?
Sure. So again, just a reminder, the PPA is put in place because of the Duke true up and the Kemper true up that we have to cover. Because that true up is a temporary fee that we have to pay over 12 months. That is being paid and the revenue is being received from the PPA. So starting in July, the recommendation is that we drop that PPA from 0.8 to 0.3 cents. Our true up goes from $3.8 million this fiscal year to $1.8 million next fiscal year. So that drop in true up means that we can drop that PPA. All right, so the PPA will drop from 0.8 cents to 0.3 cents July 1st. So there will be some rate relief for all customers at that point. For demand customers, which again is that large general service, industrial, the PPA in July will be slightly less than 2%, again, because of how it gets calculated for large users. So what that does is that makes sure that we can recover the true up for fiscal year 27.
So,
and it will be less than what's currently in place. So when the one that's currently in place, when June 30th, that rolls off, a much smaller PPA comes on. And so for that rate relief will be seen in July.
So to be clear, regardless of if any actions taken today or no actions taken today, the rates will be reduced in July.
The PPA will be reduced in July.
That's correct, which impacts what people pay.
Right.
All right, Councilman Blackwell, I recognize you. Then I'll recognize Councilman Harris.
We have one more question.
I will speak. So a lot of what is published in the media in regards to Duke's retail rate, that is not the same rate that Nakempa pays. Nakempa has a subsidized rate with Duke Energy Progress. So when you hear a 10 or 12 or 15% increase by Duke on the retail side, that's not the same rate that gets passed on to us. Again, as I mentioned in the retreat sessions, the Kemper rate, wholesale rate increase this year was 4.5%. It starts April 1st on Wednesday. The projections that we're receiving from the Kemper for the next 3 years are 5.5%, 4.5%, and 4.5%. So again, just want to make sure there's a clarification there that the Nakempa rate increase is not the Duke retail rate increase that you may hear from other news outlets.
Thank you.
I'll recognize Councilman Blackwell, then I'll recognize Robertson and then Councilman Harris.
Thank you. I would like to ask you one question, and then I have a comment to make. When business and commercial entities are discussing doing business with the city of Rocky Mount, what are their primary concerns about energy and delivery?
Well, the very first thing they ask is, can you service? So the load information. And then they ask what our price is. And that's really it. It's can you service? How soon? And what's the price? And so they use that to compare to their other sites that they're looking at.
And are we successful in landing?
We have been successful. I'm not aware of any that we have not received due to utility rates.
So and the comment I'd like to make, because I've heard it frequently, and it's not accurate, it's inaccurate, that we are losing industrial customers and large employers because of our utility rates. That's not accurate. It's a mythology that's being created, but not accurate. What most larger industries care about is that when they need power, they can get it. When they need water, it is supplied. When storms happen, how long are their systems out? Because they cannot afford disruption in their businesses. And I can speak from it from being in economic development efforts, and I heard two companies mentioned in particular. One was Pfizer and one was Cummins. And when Cummins downsized, it had nothing to do with the city of Rocky Mount. Nothing to do with the city of Rocky Mount. It had everything to do with global politics. In fact, they're coming back stronger than ever. They invested, continue to invest in the midst of disruption. Pfizer, same situation, had nothing to do with the city of Rocky Mount Utilities. So I'd appreciate it if we wouldn't try to make everything about city of Rocky Utilities. It's not true. This area is being looked at aggressively by tons of companies, tons of companies. We are as competitive as any other place in North Carolina. And while we're working through our issues, I think we have to be careful not to give people an incorrect assumption that everybody doesn't want to come here. That's just not true. And that's the point I want to make. That had nothing to do with retail rates. And the other comment I just would like to say is that for our partners around the area, municipal partners and governmental partners, I hope that what we can do together is work out whatever challenges that you're having. Not in, public, we can do what we want to do, but we gotta be careful about showing up and making statements before we've had a chance to work together to figure it out, because we need the time. And the third thing I want to say, and I'll be done. Nash County has had 10 o'clock meetings for how many years? Nash County has had 10 o'clock meetings for forever. Okay. And I've never heard one complaint, not one, about not being able to attend a public hearing. Nash County. Never heard anybody come down and make claim. It's just somebody's trying to do something. We did it in the open. We said it publicly. We voted on it publicly. And we desired, we said, it's gonna be fine because people want to turn up, and you had it. And I thank you for being. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'll recognize Councilman Robertson.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Councilman Dorchester, for your work on these administration charges. You've been a pioneer.
And Bradley, I have a question regarding them. Can you explain for the public how administrative charges factor into how utility rates are set?
Sure. So the administrative charges are part of our, what we consider to be operating. There's three major pieces that we look at. There's the wholesale energy cost that we have no control over. That's in the Kemper contract. There's our capital costs, capital outlay, what we're spending on large fixed assets like substations, rebuilding of substations, that sort of thing, to maintain reliability for the system. And then there's our operating costs, and part of that operating cost is the operating cost for the utility, what our fees are, our salary, what our charges are, expenditures are, salaries, benefits, making sure we have the tools, the equipment, all the things that are needed to continue to serve the system, maintain the system. And then there's the admin transfer. And the admin transfer, as we talked about, is a portion of what we in Energy Resources use from general fund departments, because we don't have all of those types of departments. We don't have accounting, we don't have HR, we don't have IT and Energy Resources. So that is a cost allocation model where we pay the city, the general fund, for hours and man hours used.
Thank you. Mr. Warsinger, he went into details, and I appreciate it. He told about all of these departments that has to do with utilities and how much that admin charge is going towards it. So that our admin charge goes to city operations like salaries and different things like that. We know that he just confirmed that. So if these costs were reduced, would that reduce the pressure on raising rates? Is that fair to say if the costs, those admin costs, like Rich Warsinger was saying that it's paying for development service, community development,
and all these other things that's not related to, utilities, if those charges were reduced, would that, kind of reduce some of the pressure on raising rates right now?
Any charges that are reduced would provide a little bit of relief on the rate, okay, including the. So, what we've done, internally is we've reduced the expenditures that we could. Obviously, the wholesale, power is not something we can control. So, I mean, a reduction in that would cause us to rates. So yes, to answer the question, yes. And so we've done what we could do to reduce spending, streamline operations and that sort of thing internally to Energy Resources to help with that reduction.
That's right in alignment with the LGC was saying we need to reduce our expenditures first. So, before I can make a vote on it, I don't know about my fellow councilmen, but I need to understand the true health of collections. And, also, I asked for real data, what actually has been collected in dollars, not projections. And right now, we have an ongoing, state auditor. He's investigating our utilities operation, including the billing issues that we had. And so really have a full picture currently before we, make a decision. And based on that, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
No, so we're not at that point. We're in the public hearing component. And I'm
Okay.
still gonna open the mic up for those who are not able to speak. I'll recognize you when we get to this point.
Okay, thank you.
This time I'll recognize Councilman Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Walter, just for the public education, explain exactly what PPA is. How is it determined? Because one year it was $2 million higher than this upcoming year. Tell everybody how that is calculated and assessed to the members of the company.
Sure. So Duke, provides a projection to NICEMPA of what it's going to cost to serve NICEMPA membership in the upcoming year. Projection is off. If it costs more, then they levy a true up to NICEMPA. That NICEMPA membership, that true up and then is proportionately, displayed across all 32 members of NICEMPA based on their size. Okay, so we're third largest in NICEMPA, so a portion, we're going to receive a higher portion than most of the others. So that true up bill, the total true up bill that goes to NICEMPA is divided up proportionally amongst the 32 members, and then we're required to pay that. There's been a couple different ways they've done it. They've done it over a 24-month rider, where we have, it's divided, that total amount is divided over 24 months. And there's an option, and the one that's coming up in the fall, rider 25, is a 12-month payback. And so what we've elected to do, because they are not fixed charges that remain forever, because they're temporary charges for a fixed period of time, we decided to utilize that and recover those funds through the PPA process, the purchase power adjustment process. That way it's clearly transparent that we owe X, this PPA is going to recover X over the next fiscal year. That's what the PPA is for.
Correct me if I'm wrong, with the third largest, as you so stated. Greenville and Wilson, who's number one and number two?
Greenville.
Do you expect them to essentially look at what they are presently charging and perhaps increasing to cover this new PPA?
So both of those utilities use a PPA. It's not called PPA, but it's a PCA. There's a couple different versions you can call it, but they utilize that tool for these true ups. But the wholesale increase that where all 32 members are experiencing, each of the 32 members has to weigh how it affects their bottom line. And so they can do whatever they think they need to. They can increase rates, they can cut expenditures, or a combination of both. And so some have already announced that they are, and you can go find out who they are. Some are still probably weighing that currently.
That's all the questions I have, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman TJ Bowman, recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Brad, thank you for presenting to us, sharing with us. The question I have is, knowing that Kemba has, I believe you said 4.5, 5.5, 4.5 increase over the next 3 years. So those increases will be incrementally each year. I was 15% the proposed rate increase for us immediately this year.
Right. So what we had when we were putting forth in the cost of service study, we had to look at what our expenditures are going to be. And as we described, part of that this year that we've not had in past years is the $5 million set aside for fund balance because we're at $0 in the rate fund. So there's a $5 million of this 6.8 revenue increase. Just to make clear, the recommendation that was provided is a collective 8% increase across the entire electric system across all classes. It's divvied up differently, as you mentioned, for 15% for residential. The margin discussion that I had a few minutes ago in regards to that particular rate class is under collecting what it costs to serve you. And so getting these back. So it was 11.2 million negative. This rate increase of 15% would put at 5.5 million, still in the negative, still being subsidized by our industrial class and large general service classes. But so to answer your question, the way this is going to be rolled out, this kind of balances out those margins, okay? And then we don't know for sure what those next year increases are going to be. We can try to plan for it, but when we came up with this particular recommendation, we looked at what our expenses are going to be and do we have the revenue to cover those expenses. And those expenses were our wholesale cost increase, our wholesale with the increase included. PPA was going to be what our expenditures are going to be to maintain the system, putting additional $5 million into fund balance to help rebuild that over a 4-year period. And then keeping the transfers that have been going to at level. That was the plan for fiscal year 27. And so that's what rolled into the cost of service increase. When we do that, we would realize we need to go from 85 million in revenue, which is what our rates collect today. So for 91 million in revenue, what we expect to spend in fiscal year 27. Now, just to let everybody know, that's still a reduction from the adopted spend in fiscal year 25 and fiscal year 26 by almost 8 million. So we've reduced expenditures. We also have to, because of this fund balance replenishment, we have to increase revenues to take care of that.
But so if we were to reduce our expenditures to be able to fulfill that same 5 million for fund balance, we will still be in the same location with that place.
Any decreases across any of this expenditures that we're anticipating could result in a lesser rate because we're just trying to recover what our expenditures are, not more and not less. We're trying to look at what our expenditures need to be to operate the system, and we need to have revenues that recover that amount. So any expenditures, regardless of where it comes across the utility, would help with the rate increase recommendation. Again, as I mentioned, we've cut extensively spending internally to energy resources. So we got where we think is a manageable and sustainable level. Any more cuts to that would require probably a change in the quality of service. We can't change the wholesale piece of it. So right now, it looks like we're either going to have to continue to plan for that fund balance. Any decreases in that would mean risk to the system that we're not putting money to the side. And then the transfer is remaining the same. So if it decreased, could potentially, but it's not just the transfer. It can be anywhere across the utility. It's simply a math balancing problem.
Yeah, so your department has cut as you cut as much as you can cut. The cuts, if I'm hearing you correctly, need to come from other departments.
Much as we need to cut without providing a noticeable change in the quality of service to our customers.
Thank you.
Mr. Manager.
Yes, and I'd like to just add a statement in regard to the rates. Unlike the tax rate, which is set annually and remains in effect for a full fiscal year, the utility rates can be adjusted at any point in time during the calendar year. So if we work on adjusting the utility service rate during the fiscal year 27 process, it's also an opportunity for us to also look at revisiting the utility rate structure as well.
So, thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Councilman Jabari.
So I guess
Bradley, two questions. I have a question. So you saying if the 15% goes, would that put us at about $5.5 million? With that, and we go from $0.5 million, we wouldn't be in the red anymore in that part, correct?
Right, the collective 8% across all classes, which includes the 15% to residential, if that rate was, approved over a period, we anticipate an additional 6.8 million in additional revenue. Of that 6.8 million additional revenue, 5 million of it would be planned to put to the side for fund rebalance, for fund balance replenishment. So that we aren't operating with $0, so that we'd be able to handle any major catastrophes or failures on our system. And so the additional 1.8 is actually to offset the wholesale increase, which is not the full increase. We cut some expenditures internally to try to offset what that would be.
Just one correction, I think you said 12 years, 12 months.
12, excuse me, yeah.
I made the same mistake last year.
Okay.
Yeah, no, 12 months.
So to the 401k, I made the same mistake. I said that it was 50,000 monthly. It's actually $50,000 bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks, so a total of 100,000.
That's right. The rate increase that we're proposing over a 12-month period would create an additional 6.8 million in revenue, of which would be earmarked for fund balance replenishment.
Thank you. So also, City Manager, you said the piece about property taxes, that's set. But the utility rates can kind of be, as the budget goes on, that be changed at any time.
Correct. Utility rates can be changed at any point in time, given the proper notice like we're doing right now. Utility taxes can only be set once a year with the adoption of the budget, and they remain in full fiscal year.
Thank you.
Councilman Robertson.
Yes, based on that, 6.8 that you're projecting to collect, what, collection rate is that? Because right now, we really behind on our collections. We're not turning anyone off. People on payment plans, to my understanding, it's about 4,000 people. So, to get that 6.8 million based on that collection rate.
So in each budget that you approve, there's a line item in each of the enterprise funds that talks about bad debt. And that amount is used to kind of offset or anticipate any money that's not collected from our customers through the revenue process. That number is provided by the budget office. The collection information is provided by Business and Collection Services. I don't have those numbers for you.
I would say on average, the city has never been below 95% across the board on our collection rate. That information is included in the state the audit that we just did on the annual basis on the financial report. It goes back, I think, 5 or 10 years, but we've never had a collection rate on average below 95%. And we're not currently behind in collections. That's not accurate.
To get a clear picture of that,
Go ahead. Yes,
to
sir.
get a clear picture of that, I've been asking your office to provide me with dollars, what is our current collection rate? Because that's all I get phone calls about, people not able to pay their bills right now, the utility bills. So to make a decision, if we supposed to collect since December, $100 million, it's actually, what have we actually collected that hit the bank account that we can reconcile? Is it 50 million? If you're saying that we're at 90%, have we collected 90 million of that 100 million? So until we have that type of information, it's very to make a decision, because historically, we've been saying we're going to project it, we're going to collect this amount of revenue, and it's never actualized. So I need to see numbers as a council member, give the oversight that the LGC state auditor is asking us. I need to see it in dollars and cents. Based on, if we collected 100 million, did we collect 90 million? Is that the truth? How many people on payment plans, the time frame of those payment plans, until we have that information in the dark.
47,000. Thank you. Sir, I'm gonna ask you to refrain.
So Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir, Councilman
Yes.
Blackwell.
I appreciate, the intent, but Councilman Robertson, that's just not true. So we get, when you see revenue coming in, the manager's office provides us with monthly, and we'll just get a cash flow report. Every see revenue, that is utility bill collections, because we can only collect the taxes. I mean, when you send the notices out for taxes in when?
In the fall for, so with regard to the collection of revenue, we actually sent out a monthly report to council members. That shows year to date, month to date on the collection rate, and that's in dollars and percentages.
Right, so we received that information.
Well, we haven't.
Well.
I'm sorry, this is not an interactive meeting. This is a public hearing. We are going to take requests. Council is soliciting information from staff as it relates to utility matters. I have full understanding. I'll ask you, please refrain from yelling out.
And I just want to say, you know, much information that is interpreted in the public square is coming from us up here. And we're getting the information that is to be had. If they have it, we get it. And the time, if folks are watching, which a lot of people watch us all over the country now. We publish every document that we get in writing or by email is posted up on the screen. And is commensurately able to be accessed. So every month, everything that says revenue comes from utility collections. And like I said before, Rocky Mount has, for the last 20-some years, had a very lenient, customer-focused collection policy. Other municipalities turn power off after a few days. Council, not this council, but previous councils created a policy. We defied what the norm was across 32 cities and said that we wanted our collections to get 2 workout payment plans. So we wouldn't be cutting people off. And then they wouldn't have to come back and pay the whole bill, plus a reinstatement, plus another deposit. And we did that because we consistently sit in number 1 or 2 positions for poverty. We have an inordinate concentration of poverty in Rocky Mount. Collection policies, it's not a statement that people can't pay. It's a statement that we've been trying to keep people's power on. That's why we have very generous, and I think a customer came up here earlier today because we called things like what we reinvested to keep our power on. We've always, not always, it's only been the last 20 years that we've had that kind of program in place. And Rocky Mount folks have been very generous. Program. People have come out their own pockets and contributed to that. Companies have come out their own pockets and contributed to that. And we diverted when we had fund balance, diverted collections to offset those utility rate increases. And there are people all across the city that have benefited from that. We just don't have a balance. We don't have a balance. And if we had a balance, we wouldn't have to do this.
Thank you, Councilman Blanco. I'll recognize you, Councilman Harris, then I will recognize you, Councilman Robertson, and the council.
One other, excuse me, Mr. Walters, one last question. The buildup of this $5 million over the next 12 months starting July 1. Fortunately, we had a major hurricane in the city of Rocky Mount in quite some time. But if we do, if we lose 50 or more telephone, light poles, transformers, whatever, that buildup of the fund is going to help cover that extra cost, correct?
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll recognize Robertson.
Thank you. So, to your point, on Wednesday, March the 18th at 10:14 a.m., I sent the email requesting info utility building. To ensure council has a clear understanding before making any decisions, I would like clarifications on a few key points focused on actual cash performance. What is the total dollar amount billed over the most recent billing cycle referenced in your chart? How much of that amount has been collected in cash to date? What is the collection rate based in dollars, not accounts? What is the total outstanding balance associated with accounts on payment plan? Over what time frame is that expected to be collected? What is the average duration of those payment plans, right? I'm gonna stop there because I sent this email. I got no response. I've sent it again. And so if you got the information, I will hope that you will share it with me. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll recognize you, Councilman Aldridge.
Thank you, Mayor. This actually question is for, Director of Water Resources, right now. It was mentioned the increase, and I think we, over the years, have had a, cost of service, or at least we've had, presentations from our engineers and looking at our rates that we have, and even, most recently, when it was announced that we had these issues financially, I know the media caught on to some of the previous letters that we signed going to the state treasurer's LGC, I think they call it the FPIC letter going back to FY 22, 23, and the most recent one we just received for FY 24, because we haven't for FY 25 yet. But they all mentioned water and sewer in there, and how we were not adequately charging enough on that. Could you touch on the cost of service, not necessarily the financial performance indicators, but if you want to, you can feel free to do that, but could you address that, please? Succinctly, if you can. I know it's a lot of information. You're passionate, and I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Historically, the water and the sewer fund were grossly inadequate. Because of that, over the years, we have had to be very deliberate in prioritizing, which is a good practice. But at the same time, we have to remember that we have infrastructure in the city's water system that are well over 50, 60, 70 years old. Specifically to sewer, we're talking about machines and equipment that operates in a very harsh environment. And as a result of that, we're constantly having to maintain. Now, one thing that usually affects us is our ability to secure grants and loans specific to sewer infrastructure. Bank wants to lend the city money to put in a sewer pipe that is 20 feet or 10 feet below surface. You can't use that sewer pipe as a collateral. So that's why it is so important for us to focus on building up our sewer fund balance. So in the event of incidents like what happened back in 2013 when we had a sewer line collapse at the fire training ground, we can readily respond. And these repairs are generally expensive because you have to do bypass pumping and all those kind of things, so that we can continue to maintain the system. And the repercussions of losing your power is one thing. The repercussions of losing your sewer conveyance is going to be very unpleasant when you have sewer backing up into residences and businesses. So that's why it is so critically important that we also, just like the electric department, look at measures that we can use to build our reserve funding balance so that we are prepared and ready for incidents of that nature. And as long as we are not maintaining our infrastructure the way we should, then the likelihood of those things happening is very real. And hence the reason why we are advocating for these rate adjustments, primarily to maintain infrastructure and also to maintain quality, as in the case of our water process.
And also, follow up, some of our sewer intake, especially from our wholesale customers, it can be challenged, especially when we get an excess during heavy downpours and their system might be inadequate, and therefore it overloads our system. So we have prepare for that as well. Is that an accurate statement or not?
Yes, sir. As I have mentioned in my presentation previously, we supply water and sewer services to approximately 80,000 customers. We are a wholesale support supplier to Nashville, Nash County, Edge County, Whitaker, Sharpsburg. The city of Rocky Mount has been chastised, so to speak, by the state when we have infiltration as a result of rainfall-induced events. One, this, and best believe that the media is all over a sewer leak, primarily at some of our lower locations. And when that happens, we're faced with fines, but the supporting wholesale customers are also sending that sewer to us. So they're contributing to the inundation of our system because like ours, we're not saying we're not at fault for having some sewer lines, but their system is likewise a sieve. So that means they're sending a lot of water during rainfall events to us. And when it comes to the lowest point in our collection system and we have that sewer overflow, we're the one that's getting beaten by the media. And of course, we don't want that because we are really in the business of protecting our environment and the health, safety, and well-being of our citizens. So we want to work collectively. In fact, we have approached to talk to our other customers, wholesale customers, and said, let's work together. Let's see what you can do in your system to help us manage our system better.
I think in short, what he was asking, does inflow and infiltration contribute to the in our system from our wholesale customers?
Yes, sir, it does. Absolutely.
Are there any other questions we have for staff? All right, if not, what I'll do is I'll reconvene the public hearing. Is there any member of the public who's that didn't have the opportunity to speak earlier? Would love for you to please come forward. I will ask that you state your name for the record so that we can get it in minutes. There you go.
Nehemiah Smith Jr. I shook the, good afternoon. I shook the mayor's hand, standing over there on the break. He said, which hat are you wearing today? Wearing all of them. I'll start with the preacher's hat. Book of Proverbs says that we show contempt for God when we oppress the poor. But when we are kind to them, we show God honor. Councilman said earlier that we run 1 or 2 in the percentage of poor people. Why would we oppress the poor with a 15% increase? Take off the preacher's hat. Put on the teacher's hat. Aeschylus, father of Greek tragedy, says, and I paraphrase, that the first casualty of war or conflict is truth. This is a conflict, and the first casualty is truth. I remember when I first came back to the city, we were fighting for lowering rates because people were getting bills lowered. And my representative was fighting like a dog at the expense of his own dignity to make sure that the rates were lower. He represented on Kemper. He fought to keep the rates low. And so I would hope that now he wouldn't vote to raise the rates. That's my representative. Truth. Truth is that you're paying some folks that are giving you some bad information. In this chamber, I saw a person give you some information that made no sense. And you unanimously voted to pass. You go back and look at it, it's a bunch of Bravo Sierra. And you still employ. Send them to the house soon. now. Because that's part of your problem. You have people in places that are incompetent. They don't know what they're doing. They're advising you. And when it comes down to blaming past management, that's easy to do. It's easy to blame the person that's no longer in the room. Who did? Oh, so-and-so did it. They're not in the room. No manager hired themselves. Oh my. And it was unanimous. It was a unanimous vote. Remember, it's on video. It's a unanimous vote for the last manager. Everybody said yes. After you probably hire at what, $30,000? And then another $14,000 to get the budget back? I'm just saying what I'm saying. I'm just like you can find somebody that say you can find all this too. So as one of the two of the councilmen said, and perhaps maybe more, two that I heard, the Walkers, no relation. We gotta do better. We gotta do better. It's okay. It's okay to say, I made a mistake. That's what these people want to hear. That's all they want to hear. Hey, we made a mistake, because everybody has made a mistake. We all have fallen short of the glory of God. Put the preacher that back on. All of us have fallen short. But all they're asking is for you to acknowledge that you were wrong. That's all they're for. Thank you.
Is there any other member of the public who wishes to speak to this matter? Yeah, if you'll just line up. Yeah, that's right. And you can stay in the queue.
Okay.
I'm Roxanne Taylor. I emailed all of you last week my recommendations to address this deficit before considering a 15% resident rate hike. Thanks to one member who promptly responded, thanks to one member who has publicly expressed some regret for us being in this place, and thanks to one member to give back the stipend. I appreciate that vote of support for us, the citizens. I have yet to see a comprehensive plan to address this deficit. The talk is on raising utility rates. There is land, buildings, equipment that are probably not essential to our functioning now. We are in a crisis point, and we need to relinquish all those things that can be sold, returned for lease to help cover the deficit now. I also want to see, as someone else mentioned, a plan of correction showing that this will not happen to us again. In most venues, there is a code of conduct, an ethics agreement, and even a disclosure of financial holdings. I suggest that everyone on council, mayor, and the department heads disclose their financial interest, sign these statements, and there be a process through this council for anyone who is have a financial conflict of interest with the position in this city to then be removed from office so that we can have someone who is actually honoring us, the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Bridget Parrish. I live in the Fifth Ward. I'm a recent homeowner, 6 years moving into Rocky Mount. This is very disheartening for me to be a new resident of Rocky Mount to see all of this. There's a lot of, I think these people voted you guys to know what you're doing, to know what is happening to these residents in Rocky Mount. I do not agree with the 15% utility increase. People struggling with dealing with higher food costs, increasing gas prices, doubling taxes. Matter of fact, I actually pay more taxes here in Rocky Mount than I paid in Maryland. I was in a meeting last week, I believe, and I just didn't really get the feeling that of respect. I saw a lot of condescending mannerisms, and it was just disheartening. I know a lot of people out here, to include myself. If I miss 2 retirement checks, I'm gonna be in trouble, you know? So I chose Rocky Mount to retire here and live here because I really could be able to enjoy my retirement life. But this is sort of confusing for me, for you guys to just sit up there, and it seems a little condescending that you choose to disrespect and raise the prices on people who cannot afford it. Me, myself, I'm okay, but I'm here for everyone else that's not okay. I just want you guys to know that the power trusted in you comes from them, comes from us. So you need to do a better job with managing the city. It's a beautiful city. I love Rocky Mount. But now my house is up for sale. I'm selling my house. I was selling to downsize and stay in Rocky Mount, but now I may be choosing to move elsewhere because I don't like the poor management here. So I wish you guys well, and I hope this problem gets solved because Rocky Mount is a phenomenal place to live. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other member of the public who didn't have a chance earlier? Is there any other member of the public who's present? Yes.
Good morning. My name is Kathleen McDonough. I'm and 582 Silver Street. The reason why I'm here this morning is because I was watching the council meeting on TV. And the first thing I heard was, I'm ready to vote. I'm ready to vote. Majority of the people here in Rocky Mount are senior citizens, or some have came back to Rocky Mount. We on a fixed income. I am. I retired from Abbott. I retired from the school system. So when you have your bill say 15%, 15%, if you have a light bill and it comes in today at $233.10, 15% added to that will make that bill $267.95. So the majority of the people here in Rocky Mount, we don't have a big, we all don't have a big Social Security check or big check to come in to cover it. So by the time you take maybe 1,000 is that 1,200. By the time you take that, your utility, you got your food, you got your car insurance, house insurance, whether you paid your house off, you still got to have house insurance. That's going on. I haven't even said nothing about your medicine. I haven't said nothing about that. I haven't said nothing about the food neither. Haven't said nothing about something break down in the house, what you gonna do? But 15%, just say 15%, we don't have no say so or nothing. This make my second time to city council. And when I come because I know I need to come. So with that being said, I think y'all should go back, redo this again because 15% and your utility bill is not the same every, it's not the same. My property tax went up. I pay more property tax last year than I did the year before. So we still looking for an answer. And when you say, I'm ready to vote, that make us feel like, well, it's your town. You do what you want to do when we put you in here. I'm not mad with nobody. I'm not. I'm just upset because the majority of us here have what jobs is really going. We just trying to make it. Every city we go to, Nashville, Wilson, all of them is coming in. We sitting here looking, trying to figure out, well, I got to pay, I got to pay the car insurance. Well, I got to pay the house insurance. All of this is due once a month. So I want you all to take this all in consideration of the here in Rocky Mount. Because like the lady said, she loved it, Rocky Mount. I was born and raised in Rocky Mount. I left here in 1964 because there wasn't no jobs. There wasn't nothing. Wasn't nothing here. I came back in 1980 with my two daughters. I worked at Abbott's 27 years. Abbott's was, you had Burlington, two Burlington, you had all these plants here. Now we sitting here looking like, well, what happened? But I got one thing to say to everybody. The buses that y'all have that's here, get on them buses and go to Wilson and ask them what they doing. They working together because you're not working together here. So y'all have a good day and
Thank you. Is there any other member of the public who wishes to speak tonight? I didn't have a chance earlier. Any member of the public who didn't have the opportunity to speak earlier, speak?
This gentleman. Take the microphone too.
No.
Can you speak? He just sing
He's not indicated.
No, he's not speaking.
I think you answer this question.
Is there any other member of the public who wishes to speak on this matter today? Okay, seeing none. Yes, seeing none, we'll close the public. I'll recognize you, Councilman Knight. I'm closing the public comment period. I'll recognize you, Councilman Knight, then I'll recognize you, Councilman Rock.
I'm aware Sarah had, my colleague addressed me with Matthew 26:11. John 12:8. Jesus says, the poor will always have with you, but you will not always have me. Quoting Deuteronomy 15:11. It is not a man to ignore poverty, but rather to call to continuous generosity and acknowledge of the ongoing need for compassion. I have a mother that's 87. My father died. Her income was cut drastically. And we know that prices are up everywhere. Going back to what Jesus said, he commanded us not to ignore it. And this council has ignored this. Since the time that Brenda Smith said I fought like a dog, which I did fight like a dog and still fight. and have the proof and the record to prove that. That's why we created a rate stabilization fund. So we wouldn't have to pass on all the increases coming from Duke passed down to the Kemper. We did that. The records show that every budget meeting before the budget was adopted, I asked, do we have money in the rate stabilization fund? Because I said the burden had been on the citizens for so long. Because of Burlington, Texas-by, and others have moved out of this community. And the burden on the backs of the citizens and poor people. Angela Bryan, who lives in New Orleans, had a long list of things that was posted down, was not enough room, telling customers what to do. They weren't rules, but it was procedures where they could read and get help from the city. We had Gloria Hunter working with the Warren program to help qualify seniors and people who could not pay. Council begged the manager to please let customer service work with our citizens. Do not turn them off if they are trying to pay. Set up a payment arrangement. We set up a crisis program for people who was over the poverty line, who fell in a crisis, whether a spouse died or they had something, a roof, had a hole in it, their unit went out, that they could apply and get funds. And that's what that young lady was talking about. We have always had our citizens first with utilities. Don't believe me. I know you don't. I know you don't. I know you don't. You don't respect me either, but I know you don't. But it's in the record. When the auditors came, I had over 138 pages of minutes. I didn't contrive those minutes up. It was recorded by the clerk. Videos. Videos. Right out here where the flags fly in the courtyard. In the name of Jesus. God, in the name of Jesus. Miss Nellie Thornton, member of Apostle Matt Deacon's church, down here. Hold this council accountable. She had the first protest outside. We were down there kneeling with her, praying. We had compassion. We had compassion, like we do today. Now I'm gonna switch hat. My city council hat. You know, it bothers me when former employees come here to point fingers. Who have made six figures, who have advocated departments to make over six figures, but look down on a department, majority African American gas department, and treated them like a dog. Rochelle Smalley came here and addressed those issues. I have a laundry list. Archie has a laundry list how people was treated in this city. Employees, they took the air
out of Public Works truck, because they didn't want them sitting in there. Said, you cool off under the shade tree by digging a ditch. We stopped that. We stopped a lot of things that was done to the least of these. Little Raleigh, South Rocky Mount, Happy Hill, Hillsdale, Crosstown, around the Y, won't receive a dime. No sidewalks. Very little housing grants. We created a council initiative to help projects like this brother and that sister to try to give hope to this community. Archie has worked with every neighborhood president, not to lift themselves up by their bootstrap, but to work together along with the council and the boards that we have had in place. We instituted the utility rate board, review board, not for rates, but for people who had a complaint to come to that board. That's what we did. That's what we did. And now, the money is gone. No one stole it. Rates are going up. If a sewer line break and your sewage come up in your yard, who you gonna call? If we don't have the money to fix the infrastructure and your pipes have rust coming out your faucet, who you gonna call? You ain't gonna call Nashville that's using our system. You gonna call me and the rest and the mayor. So all I'm saying, the lady said, open the book, go back, read the minutes, rightly divide the truth before you accuse somebody. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Robertson, I'll recognize you.
Thank you tonight for all the work you've done fighting for the Lisa fee. I hope you continue fighting now because we don't.
1 second. Can y'all silence your phones?
She
just went out.
I'm sorry. If you could cancel it, yeah, that'd be great. Councilman, recognize you.
I was thanking Councilman Knight for the fight that he's done, and I hope he continue fighting now because we don't have to raise rates on our citizens currently. But with that said, I want to make a motion, but before I make that motion, be clear on why. Before we ask our residents to pay more, we need clarity. We need the information necessary to make a fully informed decision. If we don't know what we're actually is being collected today, we can't responsibly decide what to charge tomorrow. Based on that, I move that we table the proposed utility rate increase and direct staff to return with the following before councils don't take an action. Verify, reconcile data showing what has been billed versus what has actually been collected in actual dollars. A full report on utilities collections, including total outstanding balances, number of customers on payment plans, the average amount owed, and repayment terms. A complete cost allocation study to clearly define and justify admin costs being built in enterprise fund. Since those charges are they have a direct impact on how utility rates are set. And we need to get the relevant findings from our state auditor, the ongoing investigation into our building issues, multiple buildings, so that we can fully understand any issues in our system before asking residents to pay. And also, we need a plan that, as the LGC told us, that reflects significant expenditure reductions consistent with their guidance And we need to prioritize the core and essentials with this information. So when we start to get our house in order and determine whether a rate increase is even necessary, and if it is, to what level you need to do that increase. So that's my motion.
All right, I do have a motion to table it. Is there a second to table the motion?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Walker. It's this time.
It's not, no, not debated.
It's non-debated. But, all right, that being the case, the vote is now called. All in favor of tabling, say aye.
Aye.
Show of hands. All opposed, same sign. All right, matter is not tabled. So we're on. With that said, I'm going to recess this. We've been going this for an hour. Before we get into the business portion of this meeting, I think a recess for about 10 minutes would be helpful for me anyway. So at 1:10, we'll come back and reconvene.
Sharon has
Based on what we heard about, based on what we heard last week from the lawyer, it's not up to now on 14 days needed to be noticed. Change of meeting. We heard today, public notice, yes, 10 days. Looks like they're gonna vote. That's not
Thanks.
I'm President Brother. I'm the finance director at Town of Nashville.
Oh, okay.
And I just want to tell you that you are asking correct questions. One, that budget number anticipated, their revenue number is what your receivables billed out, does not mean you're gonna collect it. Your actual cash, that's what you need. For real. Okay. But learned all those things, so.
I
don't think everybody necessarily understands about what that means.
So break it down a little bit.
I mean, the day. Yeah, it's more of, it's not an attack. Yeah, it's not an attack on what you did or didn't do. It's more of the understanding. And you're coming back, you continue to come back to respond, okay? Because you're asking the right things. Listen to understand.
Utility director said increasing rate based on collection.
Yeah.
But also the utility director did mention also where she was very, how we're, then we reduce other
Take out from the yeah, he said a whole lot before. Yes, correct.
They don't pay if they know you're gonna cut it. Why don't you give me some
Yeah.
leeway?
All right, thank you. This might be easy to do there. Come on, let's get out of here.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask him.
Yes, sir. Where you live?
I want to know what Don't worry.
Okay, okay. And so let's say that
Why didn't you want to rectify? You got the attorney that's saying, 2 days.
That's right.
so we're not there yet. We're still not I know, but I'm feeling Thank you.
Guys, we're on recess this time. I'll recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I'll recognize you talk before, I'll recognize you after.
Okay, I want to clarify something, and I appreciate, I'm thankful people listen to what we say, it's important. And I was the person that said I'm ready to vote. And let me, I said it, and I'll never deny what I said. I'll never deny it. Now, I'm gonna explain why I said it. I said I'm ready to vote now because the LGC told us we have to have a clear plan by April the 1st when we come to them. That's what they said. My concern was that we did not have and revenue increases. I said I'm ready to vote now, not because I'm so eager for more people to pay more. That's absurd. And if I had a bad attitude, please forgive me. But you know what? Respect coming here, you want respect, you want us to hear. But I have not heard anyone, not one time, apologize for the intentional lies, slander, libel that's levied against me in particular, Councilman Knight in particular, and OIC in particular. From people who don't know me, don't know my family, don't care about the people that we serve. For people to think that I don't care and Andre Knight doesn't care about poor people, when both of us literally have given everything in our lives to ensure that people are safe, everything that OIC does, it's amazing to me. We serve 11,000 households that are poor in workforce development to help build their ability to be able to get living wage jobs. 1 out of every 2 walk through OIC's doors are coming back from jail. 1 out of every 2. Documented. We opened up healthcare because there was nobody caring about poor people. The only reason we're in the healthcare business, the only reason, is because in the private sector, people were turned away forever if they missed 3 appointments. Today, we serve 13,000 people in Rocky Mount. 60% of that are people who are uninsured, that we were able to get Medicaid for, and now that might be disappearing. So the complaint about not caring, having attitude, or being condescending, if it was condescension, I ask for your forgiveness because I don't even do that. That is not who I am. But what I am not going to do is have people misrepresent who I am and what I stand for and the work that's being done by people who I know have never left the places that other people don't even go. So I got a track record. That's a footprint. Every vote, every comment, and what I do in my household, my wife, my family, and the people I associated with, church community, the nonprofit community, and the business community too. I want to try to improve and elevate. And because there's a disagreement about a price we now have to pay because of past decisions that this body made, to me is irresponsible. And so to do the responsible thing, to make sure that we stay in this until we have a chance to get all this information. That is good information to get, but this stuff just doesn't get produced overnight and still run your business and still work with diminished staff. I'm about to wrap it, Mayor, so I'm gonna get to my motion in a minute. But what I'm gonna say is that, and we have cut $32 million already since February. LGC said you must cut, you must continue to cut, and you can raise revenue too, because we cut our way out of this alone. Right. And now we got to rebuild. And since everybody's gonna preach, I'm gonna preach too. Nehemiah went and had to rebuild walls that were burned that he didn't burn. And he called for somebody to work with him to get it done. And people brought their resources to build their own walls. And they worked together. And they didn't come down from the wall. They said, we're going to continue to build. And if you want to you can meet me with a way to build up a wall. If you want to try to fight me, come deal with the sword. But I want to keep building. So I make a motion that we approve the ordinance ending the electric rate schedules that have been submitted to us by our able, competent, and committed city manager and his team. And I'm going to ask that as we continue to go forward, if we have the ability to reduce in the future, we'll reduce as soon as we can. But right now, we got to do this to stay open and to make sure that we are seen as responsible, accountable leaders that represent a whole city. That's my motion this morning.
Thank you. I have a motion to adopt the ordinance amending electric rates. Is there a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Aldridge. Is there a need for discussion?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Wait a minute. I recognize you, Councilman Robertson, then Councilman TJ Walker, and then Councilman Harris.
I move to amend the motion to delay it until the council receive reconciled collection data in actual dollars, a completed cost allocation study, a report on utilities, collections, performance, and payments. That's my amendment to the motion.
Well, we have a motion and a second on the floor. If the Councilman Blackwell would like to amend it, then we can consider it at this moment.
I do not.
Okay, yeah. Recognize Councilman TJ Walker.
Thank you, Mayor. And I first want to say that I do appreciate staff, but I just received these packets today and I haven't even had a chance to go through them because we've been in our meeting since 10. On the premise of that alone, I haven't even gone through all the details. I've seen the high level, but I haven't even gone through all the packets that we received since this morning. Secondly, last meeting, there was a conversation, I believe, and the manager, thank you, did submit to us grant contracts that we have that are contingent upon, I guess, convenience. And I saw in those contracts, I guess the term that look, but we have the authority to amend those contracts based on convenience. And I think because of the convenience of where we are now, those grants total to $1.2 million. And so as that today, we need $5 million in fund balance. We're looking at approximately $6.8 million with the proposed 15% utility increase. Well, if we subtract those two grants, that gives us $1.2 million, which means we're looking at 4.7 that we would need from, I guess, from any revenue increase we get that. And so from that premise as well, I'm just, and I hear the conversation how we are, putting the people first, but, it seems to me that we have not looked at every avenue, to cut expenses. Councilman Black was correct. We have cut 30+ million, this year alone. But there are still more, expenditures that we can cut before we look towards the people for any type of increase. And even knowing that we have $1.2 million in downtown grants that are still tabled, I don't know how we even can move forward supporting that, knowing that we are thrusting a 15% increase, on the public. And so with that, which I've already made my stance of, not supporting it, but I would ask that we look at those $1.2 million grants that we have, Mr. Manager, that you did send us information on, that we would look at those in our cuts of expenditures.
Yes, we can, look at anything y'all want to look at during the budgeting process, but just one point of clarification. Council received this packet of information on March 16th.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you so much.
I'll recognize you, Councilman Harris.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Brief remarks. Starting in January, I said I have skin in this game and I apologize. But I also said since January, I'm going to work as hard as I can to take a look at how we can continue to cut expenses, look at alternative sources of revenue. Because at the end of the day, I want the lower utility rates and I want the lower property tax rates. The manager said some key words earlier today. We'll start the budget process very, very soon. All the public will be involved in looking at how we review the proposed fiscal year 27. If we can find cost savings before we start the budget discussions, that would be wonderful. And we will start looking at that this meeting. But as we go through the budget, we got 90 more days. If there's ways that we can streamline, become more efficient, we're going to aggressively look at selling available, marketable city-owned properties. I can assure you that. Unfortunately, most of our properties came about as a result of the tragic flood. And we all know what Florida did to the community. But I am going to work. I told you I did not vote for the property taxes last 2 years because I wanted to cut expenses. I think that now is the message that we've got to cut expenses, look at other alternatives of revenue, because now again, the LGC said we are at the cliff. We're going to proceed so that we can work ourselves out of this. But I assure you, there's going to be cost savings that we can recognize between now and June 30th. And in next year, we can get this service fee perhaps being lowered to various departments. I'm not going to forget this. This is weighed heavily on me since August. I'm going to work hard. I give you my assurance. And I thank you. I empathize with you, but we to be consistent in how we go about making the right decisions. And by golly, we're going to start making the right decisions. And I thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak?
Yes.
Councilman Roberts.
So thank you, Councilman Harris, for saying that. But I just want to be clear with y'all. The LGC is being thrown like the LGC is telling us to raise rates 15%. And what the LGC did say and she read it, but I just want to reemphasize that she told us to be there on April the 1st, right? But she said, Mr. Councilman Harris, we don't have to wait to revise our budget, because what she said, when we come April the 1st, please bring an updated cash flow projection through the end of the calendar year 2026. She also said, bring a revised budget for the current fiscal year that shows significant spending reduction and details about the measures we will take to ensure that you do not run out of cash or fail to pay debt service expenses. Nowhere in there did she say increase revenue. Actually, she said it's not enough time for us to increase revenue. So putting this rate of 15% is not going to do it. So I just want to be clear with the people so y'all don't leave here confused thinking that LGC is recommending that we raise rates. No, this board is recommending that we raise rates. So that decision. So also, when people said they've been fighting for the leads fee, you don't stop fighting, because right now this is going to open the door to gentrification, the things that you said you're against. So when you raise the rates on that can't even afford to pay their rates without doing a study of the current people that's on payment plan, and you have no safety nets for them, because the shelter is on the verge of closing, which is going to spill 100 people out onto the street. Saying you're sorry is not going to get the job done. You have people out here that can't even afford to get food and their medicine, and you're saying, okay, let's just vote. So yeah, you may have 13,000 customers now, but they may, when we do policies like this. So I hope, and I respect what the ORC have been doing. I hope that you have grants and things in place that help these people pay this 15% increase. Not, you're gonna have a lot of people that's gonna be out on the streets, and the homeless shelter is gonna be closed. So I know I couldn't amend that motion, but lawyer can, our counsel, can I substitute a motion?
The motion and a second.
Well,
We're in the middle of debate.
Can you substitute, I asked the attorney, is there a way to substitute a motion?
The motion to amend is gonna require a second.
I've got that, but I'm talking about substitution now of a motion, not to amend.
It's the same thing essentially.
Okay, so I'm gonna move to substitute the motion to delay the implementation until we receive verified collection data, a full report on the utility collection rate, and confirmation of significant expenditures reductions.
Second. Second. All right, deep discussion. On the amendment. On the amendment. On the amendment. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? All right, amendment is no longer.
Call the question.
The question has been called. All in favor of adopting the ordinance amending electric rates? And I want to point out, this is an ordinance amendment, requires 5/7 vote in the affirmative. All in favor to adopt the ordinance amending electric rates, please say aye.
Aye.
Just like sign.
Aye.
All right, show of hands on the opposed. Motion carries.
Mayor.
Yes, sir. Councilman Knight, yes, sir, I'll recognize you.
You know, I had a chance to attend a meeting having at the church Saturday. The ones that arranged the meeting wasn't expecting, comes to the meeting. I was led to go. At the end, there's some distorted information being shared to the people. But once I spoke, people realized some validity to what I was saying. They said, we're confused. So let me confuse some of the confused people that's sitting at these tables. You know, the LGC is thrown around quite a bit. People read half of what they see states. But let me set the record straight. From a representative from the LGC. I have spoken with council members individually and remain consistent. You cannot solve this in the short term with revenue increases, and you nonetheless likely to need to increase revenue. Specifically regarding utility rates, you won't know what rates need to be until you have a cost allocation plan. But given the dire condition of finances, it would make sense to me, this is the LGC, not Andre, not Elton, not Cheryl, not Ruben, not Lodge, not Tom, not Mr. Walker J. Kelly, or Mr. Walker on the other side. It would not make sense to me. It would make sense to me. It would make sense to me to go ahead with rate increases, because you can always dial them back once you have all the financial information you need to set the rates with 99% confidence. I am happy, and I'm happy in myself, to speak to any individual on the city, individual city council member that wants to speak to me. And I won't be available until tomorrow after 4 p.m. LGC. And for grants, we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. They had the most underserved communities. You know, the development with the 336, wards 1, 2, 3, and 4 can't walk there. Wards 1, 2, 3, and 4 that we always talk about, who are in dire need and poverty, is the core of our city. You got jobs, where it's hotel, restaurants, that they can walk to like they used to with the railroad, with the tobacco factories, the cotton mills. Don't have to get your Uber or the transit. They can walk. Just out there. And the last thing I want to say, the manager has said repeatedly about the grants downtown. You have 2 that have exceeded the deadline. I only put 3 more, but when you sign a contract, whether it's with the bank or any business or any city, that is a legal contract that is not being withheld. They are liable and can be sued. We have not just downtown contracts. We got contracts all through this whole business of the city. Water contract. We got IT contracts. They are contracts signed in good faith. And the manager said he can talk to them individually to see if he can reduce it or postpone it or withdraw it. But you just can't cancel a contract without talking to the person who you signed a binding legal contract with. And I think that's it.
And this time, we have 2 other items that we need to consider as council, and I know there are 2 folks that like to speak, and I'm not recognizing at this point. See if we would like to a motion to adopt resolution amending stormwater utility rates and environmental services. This is a resolution that would require a 4/7 vote. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Councilman Knight, seconded by Councilman Stewart. Is there any for discussion? This time I'll recognize you, Councilman Robertson.
Oh, no. There's no need for discussion on this, unless you want.
Yeah. Just point of
Councilman
clarity,
TJ Walker.
point of clarity, I tried to go back and find March 16th. Mr. Manager, you said we received these, were they mailed to our homes? These were given in.
It's my understanding that they were emailed from the city clerk's office.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the matter? The matter is to adopt a resolution amending stormwater utility rate, environmental services, fees and charges. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Aye.
All right, this time, consider a motion to adopt ordinance amending water and sewer retail wholesale rates. Is there a motion?
So the one we just did.
Is there a motion to adopt with amending water and sewer retail wholesale rates.
So,
Motion made by Councilman Harris, there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Councilman Blackwell. This is an ordinance amendment. It requires 5% vote. All those, is there a need for discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Aye.
Okay. I know the business appear before the special called meeting today. I now adjourn the meeting.
No, but just, I saw it.
I hope you're all right, brother.
Hello, we're going to try to be there for 40 minutes.
Oh, yeah, so any numbers
How are you, sir? Good, nice to see
Thank you too. Kim, I try to just let you know I found that email.
Thank you.
Don't forget it. So this decision today, hopefully put you all on a path to continued financial stability.
Yes, still have a long way to go. Yeah.
How are you feeling going into this?
As soon as I can. But I was just wondering, this is a big step. And so we'll be able to present what we have and any advice or recommendation that they give us, we'll do our best to try to implement those.
Just a point of clarification, was everything approved? It didn't seem like gas was brought up. Were all the increases approved?
That is I think they lumped it into utilities and may have said electric, but I think it was overall utilities.
You know, you had a little bit of pushback from a couple council members who were concerned about this. They, proposed looking at other options. I mean, do you really believe that this is the best way moving forward?
Well, I never stated that this was the best way. I said this is a way. It's up to council to make that decision. My job is to recommend viable options. And today it got approved by a super majority.
We heard a lot of citizens who are really upset, and it really comes down to just affordability. A lot of people feel like they cannot afford this. I mean, what is your response to that?
I feel their pain. I understand. I do know that if you look at the information that's been presented, we're really still increases that got approved today. We're still very competitive as it relates to our peer jurisdictions. In fact, and even with the increases that were approved today, we're actually still lower than a lot of those jurisdictions. So I understand. I have empathy for them. I'm a resident. I pay the utilities, but still, it's something that we all got to kind of go through, and we'll look for other ways that could possibly reduce that rate, possibly in the future. It's just an entire process that we have to look at. We have to look at expenditures, as well as how we can operate more efficiently.
The state auditor is still looking into that billing issue. A couple people raised concern that, you may want to hold off on this until you get those findings back. Do you feel like you're in a good place to make this change getting those findings yet?
I don't really want to speak on an ongoing investigation or what's going on in that place. I do understand that it is still going on, but I feel confident in the recommendation that we're giving the council thus far, and I look forward to implementing it.
What are the next after this? I know it's going to be probably a long process.
Yeah, well, implementation is always a key. From a financial standpoint, we can't predict the future. We only give projections. And so projections could be a little bit more accurate based on how we implement it. So if we do what we say we're going to do, and that's the plan, that's my job. That'll be the job of staff over the next few days. And I think that my council members, the mayor, they'll continue to listen to the concerns and input from the citizens, and they'll work together to hopefully have a balanced budget for the upcoming fiscal year.
Only thing for me, I know you feelings out of everything, but how do you make sure that you guys are all on the same page for the same mission going forward?
Well, I don't think in any governmental process, you're gonna ever have 100% people on the same page. The goal is to try to make sure that we're recommending things that are both legal and ethical. From a majority rules, majority votes, that's what we implement.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Yeah, me too.
What a great day. Those two boys still misleading folks. Saying they don't have information, but they already have. Wonder who they got to be getting paid. But they sure are making exceptions like too ignorant. But today, the council has spoken and had a super majority to give the city council, give the city opportunity to do his job. So, a great day.